Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and this is a tutorial series where we are empowering our AI agent with RAG. So this is part 2, and if you haven't watched my part 1 and if you really want to understand the functional and the basic concept of RAG, I would highly recommend you to watch part 1. You can find the link in top of your right window, or you can just find the link in a description below as well. In this part, what we're going to do is we are going to set up your machine. If you just follow along the way I'm suggesting, you can just set up your machine. I'm using a Windows. If you have a Mac OS, you can just do the same thing, but whatever website I'm going to use to set up the entire thing, you have to just choose your operating system on which you want to set that up. Right. So as you can see my screen, the very first thing, because we are going to use a Google provided LLM. So we are just going to create the API key, because the API key is the one through which we are going to make the connection. So we need two API keys set up. One is for PineconeDB, which is a vector database, right? So all you need to do is to just go to the Google, and search for a Google AI Studio for the first, and then you will get this link, Google AI Studio. You can click on that, log into your Google ID, and then you will see this link here, get API key. You can click on that and you can just create the API key. It will give you the if you give it, it will give you the key that you have to just store it and just secure it somewhere so that you won't share with anyone, because we are going to set up our environmental file with the same API key. Okay, this one is for the Google API. This one is for the Google API key, and through this we can access all the models which are publicly available or privately available by the Google. The next thing is you have to just search for the pinecone.io. Once you log into this, you will have this page where you can find the generate API key. And once you click on that, you can just give the API key, and then this create key button will be enabled. And once you click on that, it will give you the new API key. Again, you have to just copy and secure it somewhere, right? So that you won't share. So now you know how to generate those two API keys. The next thing is what we need is I'm going to use a Python as a programming language to write the entire code base. So the next thing which you need is a Python. So it's very simple installation. If you are on Windows, you can go to the python.org in the downloads, and you can just use any version, whatever you like. I am just in 3.12 and 3.13, but 3.12 is good because whatever the dependency I'm using, it has a best stable version for 3.12, but you can just go for the 3.13 as well, right? Okay, so once you just go here, 3.12 specific version like 3.12.10, you can just get the Windows installer, right? So you can click on that and you will get the installer. And once you have an installer, you know what to do, right? You have to just click on that and that will be set up. In case if after installing, if you don't get your Python command working through the command line, all you need to do is to set up your environmental variable with the path where this Python is actually going to be installed. So if you face any issues, you can put into the description in the comment section, and I would help you. But there are plenty of help available online through which you can just have that working. But in case if you are not able to do it, you can always reach out to me and I will help you. So we have all the API keys, right? We have Python installed. The next thing what you have to do, there are two ways through which you can just enable your virtual environment. The first thing is, if you have a PyCharm, if you know how to use a PyCharm, so the moment you just click a new project, by default, I can simply say reg app tutorial, right? So the moment you create this, right here, you can just choose which interpreter you want. So I have almost the 3.12 and 3.13 version. I'm using 3.12. So once you create this, automatically you get your virtual environment created. But if you do not use PyCharm and you want to just run through the command line, what you can do is, let me just let me just see. This will be a chat. Okay. So what you have to do, you can just go to the Okay, so now we are in the place where we have where we want to create a virtual environment in the command line, since you are not using the IDE. So all you need to do is Python -m, then we have a module venv. Through this, you can just create v dot, right? So once you do that, this folder will be created in this particular folder, right? And once you just get inside this script, here we have a script batch file, right? If you are on Ubuntu, you have to just source that. But here, since we are in Windows, okay, and then activate. Okay, so now you can see once you just get inside this, if this folder get prefixed, it means your virtual environment is enabled now, right? If you are on Ubuntu, you have to just source that, which is very straightforward, right? In that case, you have to just go to .venv, then win, and then activate. Okay, awesome. So once you have that, the next thing which you need is the specific dependencies, right? So what all library we gonna use in Python? We have a concept of libraries, right? And these libraries are being published mainly on py.pl. So what these are the 4 different libraries which we are going to use: Streamlit, Pinecone, Langchain, and the Google GenAI Model API, right? So what you have to do is, if you really want to get more detail, all you need to do is to just go to the streamlit.io, and then you will be landing on this page, and you can understand what exactly the Streamlit is. And you can just go to the docs, and you can just go for the get started, right? So once you come here, you will find this installation page, and you can just see the installation is very straightforward. You are going to use pip install Streamlit, right? And you can just read through this documentation, which is very, very helpful. What exactly Streamlit does, how it works. It's very powerful library through which you can simply build the web application with a very few lines of code. I would say just 2 or 3 lines of code, you should be able to run a very basic Streamlit application. You can see here, if you write only these line of code, this is the application which you're going to see on your browser. Right? So to install this, all you need to do is pip install Streamlit. Yeah, right? The other thing which you can do is something like Streamlit, PIPY. This take you to this library where you can find that lot of details, right? Streamlit lets you transform Python script into the interactive web apps in minutes instead of weeks. So this really makes sense. When we start doing a coding, then you will figure it out that Streamlit is the most easiest library to just build the web application. You can just click here and come here. So here there are 2 ways. If you are using a PyCharm, you can just simply pip install in Streamlit, or if you are on your command prompt, you can do the same thing over there, right? So I can just do the same thing here. The next thing is which we gonna install, because I have already captured all the information, just for the sake of just quickly cover all these. So we have the Streamlit. Then we need this python-dotenv, because we are going to keep our keys in an environmental file so that it won't be visible to anyone. And we are going to use this python-dotenv, which will help us to just load our .env file. The next library which we need is a Pinecone, because we are using a Pinecone vector database. And for that, this is the Pinecone Python library through which we can just get connected to the Pinecone database. Okay, so if I just come down here, okay, Pinecone, right? So it's again very straightforward. Pinecone pip install Pinecone. It's a Pinecone Python SDK. Same thing we can do with the Langchain. But here in this project, we need a Langchain community. We need a Langchain Pinecone as well, because we through Langchain also we need to get connected to the Pinecone, because we have to retrieve the data. And Pinecone Python library we are installing because directly we are going to interact with the Pinecone to load the data, right? So Langchain will be extracting the data, and manually with the help of a Pinecone library, we will be uploading that, right? So the same thing, what you have to do, you have to just follow the same thing. Once you have this Streamlit installed, what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna simply say Pinecone. The next library which we need is Langchain, or I can directly install Langchain, because that way what would happen is Langchain PineCone. Oh, okay, so no issues. We can copy this part so that we don't have to explicitly run. So we have Langchain. We can use Langchain because this is going to install the Langchain core and Langchain community. And then the next one which we need here is Langchain, this one, Google GenAI, because that would help us to get the API key through which we can access the Google models, right? So this is, and then we need, as I mentioned, python-dotenv for loading our environmental files, right? So let's come back and quickly verify. Okay, Streamlit is done. This one is done. Pinecone is done, which is Python library. Then we have a Langchain community, since we have installed Langchain, which implicitly installed Langchain community. Then Langchain PineCone also we included, and we included this one. So these are the few dependencies which we have to install, and we can quickly re-verify it with the list which we have. So we install Streamlit, through which we are going to create our web app. Pinecone, through which we are going to interact with the vector database. Langchain, through which we are not only going to interact with the large language model, but we are going to interact with the Pinecone vector database as well. And with the Langchain, we have installed another library, which is actually going to help us to just interact with the Google models, right? So we install all of them. Now, the next thing which we have to do is we have to just create our .env file, right? So what you have to do, which is very straightforward, come here, create this .env file, and to generate, the env file, let me just quickly show you what you have to do. If you want to just check from here, that also you can do. You can see how to initialize a file, So here what you have to do, you have to just pass this API key. So you can just create any variable, but that has to be a key value pair. What does it mean? You can simply say Pinecone_API_key, and whatever the Pinecone key you got it, you can just copy it. Same thing, what you can do is Google_API_key, and then you can just copy that API key over here and just save it. That's it. So I can just simply say, okay, right? And simply I can just put something here, right? So this is what our environment file gonna look like. And you have to just replace, your API key over here, which we have extracted in the very first time. Once you are done with this, we are all set to start coding, and we will not face any issue. Even if we will face an issue on the fly, we will fix it. But this is all you need to just start writing your own very first RAG-powered AI agent, and you can just add any intelligence, whatever you want. I will just show you how I build my own application. And believe me, after the completion of this tutorial series, you can just build your own RAG-powered AI agent without, any hurdle. So that's it from my side for this video. If you have any feedback or suggestion, please feel free to put that into the comment section, and I would love to incorporate them in my future videos. So if you really like this video, give a thumbs up and just click on a notification button so that whenever the next version will be available or published, you will just get notified for that. And if you feel that this video can help your groups or your friends, please feel free to share with them. And if you haven't subscribed for my channel yet, please do subscribe for that, because that really motivates me to just come with, the more advanced topic by a simple explanation. That's it from my side. Stay healthy and keep learning new things.